sound, rolling, and speed. Action. Hi there, my name's Scotty Senatore, Scotty Frederick on YouTube. And now that I'm YouTube's #1 leading upcoming influencers, I feel that I should make this interview and documentary series on how I became such a legend. It all started at a youth age, about that tall, when I realized being tall, even at that age of being only this tall, being tall separates you. And I'm not talking about 8 foot like I am now. I'm talking about when I was only like 1 foot tall. I started to realize that everything's either made for short people or for very tall people like myself. Now at 8'9", I find it extremely difficult to go anywhere. I can't even get in my car anymore. So I figured it's time for me to share this on YouTube. So we'll go ahead and begin. And I'm going to try to do this whole show documentary in one take, which is why I'm such an icon and why I'm an innovator of the whole industry. So, like I said, when I was just about yay tall, like knee high to a grasshopper, I used to like to act. So I would stand in front of the mirror in the bathroom and I would say, I would talk gibberish, and I felt like it was Academy Award worthy performances I was doing. So I continued to pursue this field. And I think it was about at age 11 when friends and relatives started questioning whether I was actually related to my brother and my father, who are relatively shorter than I at 9'6". I think my father was last measured at, oh excuse me, I'm sorry, 9 meters. Well, I don't know my metric system yet, so let's just go with he was about 4'5" maybe, and claimed he was 6 foot. But regardless of that, I started having to deal with the fact that not only was I super tall, I was also very uncoordinated because of this height. And once you've smashed your head a few times into something that you weren't looking at, because you always tend to look down when you're that tall, which is not a bad thing, but it tends to give you a bad posture, which is another reason I left Hollywood, but we'll get to that. So at 11, like I said, a lot of people would start to say, how come you don't look like your brother or your father? Because I come from a broken home where my mother was in another state, and let's put this way too. I have no concept of what it's like to have a family dinner in any way, being that they separated. From what I'm hearing now, at 2 years old, my brother, it turned out a little less than 2 years, that my mother was pregnant again. Now, my dad is a famous musician. You know, look up the name Senatore and you'll see my dad everywhere. So back to what I was saying is, like, my close personal friends would joke with me and tell me, I don't think you're part of the family. And there were rumors that there was infidelity going on between my father and mother, and it must have been obvious to everybody else because my dad, being so famous and being on tour all the time, would be, I guess, off in Europe and Japan, Singapore, and all these great places he went to. And he had just won the, well, he didn't win it, the band won it, the Playboy Pop Festival 2 years in a row. So my dad's ego began to become a little bit taller than his stature at, what did I say, 5'3"? Maybe he was about 5'4" at the top of his game, but claimed to be 5'9". So, you know, everybody adds a few inches in different departments. Me, God is a funny person. Well, God is a funny God. There's that saying, big feet, big meat. Well, it's really actually like this: big feet, big shoes to fill. So, with that being said, God made me 9 foot tall with about a, you know what I mean. Anyway, back to the story. I'm gonna try and not drag it on too long. So anyway, let's skip forward to when I became YouTube's #1 upcoming leading influencers, because I did a lot of research and I found out after I left Hollywood, at the peak of my career, I used to tell people, hey, if there's ever a way where I could just do self-promotion, I will be the #1 YouTube leading influencer one day. And when that finally came around, my opportunity, I had no idea what I was doing. I had a junk phone, I had a junk computer, and I was trying to put videos on YouTube, and it was taking up to 7 days to upload 40 seconds of my 9'6" stature. So again, I was having a lot of problems finding my niche, because that's what you have to do. You have to find a niche on YouTube. And at first I didn't fit in any of the niches, because you got how-to videos, you got comedy, you got this, that, and the other. But they finally made me realize I've got to create my own niche. So I did. I have started the niche of nobodies who really believe they're somebody. And there's a lot of us out there, including you. But now that I've taken the spot of my own niche, I've got to continue to produce. And it's kind of hard when you've got to do the camera, rolling, action, speed, sound. You got to be the Foley guy, you got to be the grips, you got to be the key grip, the dolly grip, you got to be the best boy. It's hard when you're like a Stallone character like me, acting, directing, writing, producing, key grip, and all of these things. You could see my frustration. And at almost 10 foot tall now, I keep bumping my head everywhere. So I had to create my own niche and my own world that I live in. So that's where YouTube told me, you know what, Scotty? You are the #1 upcoming niche producer, creator, influencer. And I said, wow, what is that going to get me? The answer was nothing. But if I continue to make these videos, maybe this nobody will be a somebody one day. So mark my words.